Look at any cohort of professionals with identical starting inputs. They have the same capital, the same education, and the same baseline IQ. Fast forward 5 years, and their economic outcomes wildly diverge. Some compound their resources, others stagnate or collapse. The differentiating variable isn't market conditions or external luck. It is the internal mechanical preparation of the mind. Decades before modern cognitive science, Napoleon Hill approached this discrepancy not as a philosopher, but as a systems thinker, analyzing human output. In his research, culminating in the text Think and Grow Rich, Hill isolated the root causes of executive dysfunction. He codified these in a specific chapter devoted entirely to psychological bottlenecks. His thesis is structural. Before any strategic plan can be executed, the mind must be treated as a mechanical processing engine and systematically cleared of an unholy trio of cognitive inhibitors. Until an individual learns to map and dismantle these hidden points of friction, their internal cognitive architecture remains rigged for failure. We often categorize fear as an immediate, involuntary reflex to danger. Hill's model rejects this. He defines professional fear as the final end state of a specific, slow-moving mechanical failure. The malfunction begins with a single seedling, indecision. This is the persistent habit of staying on the fence and allowing others to do the thinking for you. It is an oscillating state of perpetual processing without execution. Over time, this unresolved processing crystallizes into the second stage, doubt. The mind begins to actively generate alibis, excuses, and rationalizations to justify the inaction. Left unchecked, indecision and doubt blend together in the subconscious. This slow synthesis hard codes into fear, completely halting the system's forward momentum. Hill warns that this unholy trio is highly dangerous, precisely because the germination process is silent. It embeds itself in the subconscious, operating without registering in your waking awareness. Attempting to treat the resulting fear directly is a waste of resources. To cure the paralysis, an executive must trace the malfunction all the way back to the root node of indecision. When this unholy trio outputs into the conscious mind, Hill categorizes the results into 6 primary manifestations. He calls them ghosts because they exist entirely as internal fictions, devoid of physical reality. The taxonomy covers the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. For the modern professional, the most destructive inhibitor at the top of this list is the fear of poverty. This specific anxiety operates as a cognitive paralytic. It actively destroys the faculty of imagination, corrupts the ability to reason, and completely erodes self-reliance. Right beside it is the second major bottleneck, the fear of criticism. This ghost neutralizes innovation by enforcing conformity. It strips the individual of their initiative, sub-optimizing their decisions to merely satisfy the expectations of relatives, peers, and broader society. The remaining 4 fears, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death, operate as inherited biological and social anxieties, historically designed to break down a person's physical and mental resistance. None of these 6 states are objective external threats. They are internal mental constructs that actively assassinate ambition before a single physical action can be taken. Hill operates on one core axiom: thought impulses possess an inherent mechanical tendency to translate themselves into their physical equivalents. This mechanism is strictly directional. You cannot feed the system thoughts of poverty and fear and expect it to output courage and financial gain. The physical output must exactly match the cognitive input. The 1929 Wall Street crash served as a massive psychological trigger, extending far beyond the immediate loss of capital. The crash generated an infectious mass thought of poverty. As this specific fear spread across the American collective consciousness, the resulting panic accelerated the economic freefall. The Great Depression represents the physical crystallization of that collective state of mental fear. Objective economic realities, whether at the macroeconomic scale or within an individual's career, are inexorably tethered to internal cognitive states. But the 6 ghosts are not the final layer of Hill's architecture. There is a secondary vulnerability that is often more fatal to executive function than internally generated fear. He labels it the 7th basic evil: susceptibility to negative influences. This vulnerability is deadly because it operates passively. It doesn't announce itself. It utilizes the well-meaning but pessimistic anxieties of your friends, your family, and your broader environment. With a high degree of susceptibility, external environmental noise bypasses your conscious filters and embeds directly into the subconscious. Once inside, it steadily breaks down the faculty of creative imagination. Abdicating your cognitive sovereignty to the anxieties of your environment is the ultimate root cause of systemic professional failure. The architecture of failure is a precise sequence. It begins as indecision, mutates into doubt, solidifies into the 6 ghosts of fear, and is actively accelerated by environmental susceptibility. Yet Hill identifies one empowering structural truth. Nature has endowed humanity with absolute control over exactly one thing: the power of thought. The systemic antidote to this entire failure architecture is the habit of prompt and firm decision. Active decision-making functions as a cognitive firewall. It immediately neutralizes the unholy trio of indecision, doubt, and fear, while simultaneously blocking out external environmental noise. The mind is your primary spiritual and professional estate. It is the sole asset that dictates your trajectory, and it must be aggressively protected with disciplined willpower. Execution requires absolute cognitive sovereignty. By eliminating the internal friction of fear, the mind's resources are free to translate an idea into its physical equivalent.